name is Emily, and I've always had this pull toward forgotten things, faded photographs, cracked porcelain dolls, anything that carries the weight of someone else's life. That's why I couldn't walk past the antique shop that rainy afternoon. The mirror was propped against the back wall, half hidden under a dusty tarp. Tall, ornate, with a heavy gilded frame twisted into thorny vines and withered roses that looked almost alive. The glass was old, rippled like disturbed water, warping reflections in a way that made your stomach twist if you stared too long. The price tag said $50. The shop owner, a hunched old man with milky eyes, didn't even look up as I dragged it to the counter. "That one's been returned 3 times, he rasped, voice like dry leaves. "People say it shows things it shouldn't." I forced a laugh. "I'll take my chances." When I hung it in my bedroom that night, facing my bed, the air felt heavier, colder. My reflection stared back, but the room behind me in the glass looked wrong. Shadows too deep, corners too sharp. The edges of furniture bled into darkness like ink in water. I blinked hard. It normalized. Just old glass, I told myself. The first night, I woke gasping at 3:17 a.m. The room was silent, but I felt eyes on me, burning into the back of my neck. I turned slowly toward the mirror. My reflection lay in bed exactly as I did, except something stood behind it. A tall, thin silhouette in the reflected corner. Featureless, unmoving, watching. I bolted upright. The real room was empty. Heart hammering, I checked the mirror again. The figure was gone. I tried to laugh it off as sleep paralysis, but the next nights were worse. Whispers started, soft, wet sounds, like someone breathing directly against the glass from the other side. I'd catch movement in my peripheral vision. A pale, elongated hand sliding along the inside of the frame, fingers too long, nails blackened and split. Or a face suddenly pressed flush against the mirror, gray skin stretched tight over bone, eyes sunken into endless black pits, mouth sewn into a permanent, jagged smile. But whenever I whipped around, the room behind me was always empty. Whatever it was, it only existed behind the glass. Behind me. I stopped looking directly at the mirror, covered it with a thick blanket every night. But the blanket would be on the floor by morning, folded neatly at the foot of my bed, as if someone or something wanted to be seen. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I ripped the blanket off and stood inches from the glass, breath fogging the surface. "Show yourself," I whispered, voice shaking. And she did. At first, she looked like me. Same dark hair falling in tangled strands. Same tired eyes. But then the differences crawled in. Skin the color of spoiled milk, veins dark and pulsing beneath. Lips cracked and bleeding black. Her smile stretched impossibly wide, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. She didn't mimic me anymore. I stood frozen. She tilted her head with a sickening crack, like bones snapping. Slowly, deliberately, she lifted one hand, fingers jointed wrong, bending backward, and pressed her palm flat against the inside of the glass, directly opposite mine. I felt it, cold, like ice seeping through the mirror into my skin. Then she leaned forward until her forehead touched the glass from the other side. Her black eyes locked on mine. Her mouth moved, not sound, words forming silently on cracked lips. "Let me out." Behind her in the reflected room, I saw my real bedroom door creak open. But in reality, it stayed shut. I stumbled back, screamed, grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a lamp, and smashed the mirror with everything I had. Glass exploded across the floor in glittering shards. I swept every piece into a bag, drove to the woods at dawn, and buried it deep. I thought it was over, but that evening in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, I glanced up into the small vanity mirror. There she was again, closer than ever, her face filling the entire glass, nose almost touching the surface, smiling that horrible, hungry smile. And behind my reflection, her gray, clawed hand reached forward, emerging slowly from the mirror like it was liquid. I spun around. The bathroom was empty, but I felt it, cold, rotting fingers curling gently around the back of my neck, nails digging in just enough to draw thin lines of blood. She whispered, finally audible, breath like grave soil in my ear. "You broke the door. Now I don't need it. Some hauntings aren't trapped in the mirror. They're waiting behind it. And once you see them, they see you back, forever